This is how the American economy crashes. And I just cannot believe people can't see this, dude. It's nuts to me. And I can't believe economists can't see it. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever imported, has any country ever imported its way to prosperity? Ever? And the answer, of course, is no. Oh, but Josh, don't you know we have massive trade deficits in the United States and we're prosperous? Yeah, how did the prosperity begin? Let me give you two examples. Semiconductors and large power transformers. All right. We need both to maintain our prosperity. Our way of life, if we hadn't neither, would be going back to the dark ages. Large power transformers, step up or step down the voltage coming into your house from the grid. All right. And as such, no large power transformers, no step down in voltage, which means you have no electrical grid other than maybe you got a battery bank or something like that. And good luck with that. Part two, semiconductors. Without semiconductors, you just, all the everything is, you're just done. Literally, you're done. I mean, hell, at this stage, a freaking incandescent light bulb probably has a semiconductor chip in there. In the 1950s, 60s, 70s, and even to the 80s, we were the best, the biggest game in town when it came to this stuff. Without question, we were. In fact, even in 1980, we're still, even though Japan tried to infringe upon our market, Ronald Wilson Reagan put a 100% tariff on Japanese semiconductors. Why? Because Japan was engaging what's called dumping. What dumping means is that a country says, we are going to subsidize our product to export it cheaply to the target country, the United States, so much that the target country's own production can't keep up, and they will go out of business. And when they go out of business, we've developed a monopoly. That's dumping. And Japan was doing that. And this is after there's an accord in 1985 where you'll see a massive decline in the value of the dollar. The dollar to Japanese yen went down like crazy because the dollar was too strong, and they wanted to inflate the value of the dollar, i.e. make it less valuable, or deflate, however you want to look at it. They wanted to lessen the value of the dollar so that way we could start exporting some things because the dollar was getting too strong in 1985. And there's a whole bunch of, I can't remember, some kind of accord, I forgot what it's called. But anyway, the whole point was to get American industry so they wouldn't be just getting destroyed by Japan with their export economy. And as such, Japan kind of violated that with their dumping in semiconductors, and Reagan put the 100% tariff on to get Japan to get back in order. Anyway, so what happened was, now we don't, literally, China controls 70-80% of semiconductors. Singapore and Taiwan are basically the rest. You know, we have good relations with Taiwan, obviously, but if China took over Taiwan, the only game in town is Singapore. That's it. Now, some fools will say Singapore is a country that imports everything and is prosperous. Guess what? Singapore actually has trade surpluses. They export more than they import. They have to import things like oil, and I mean they do have their biggest exports are electronic stuff and refined petroleum, but they don't drill the petroleum in Singapore, at least I'm aware of. So their exports are by and large electronic chips, essentially. So they have something that other people need, and they have a trade surplus. Because I know people say Singapore, they import everything because they don't have any cattle, they don't have any food or anything like that. And as such, they got to import those goods. Well, they import it with things that other people need, and so they have a surplus. China has a surplus. If China takes over Taiwan and engages in hostility with us, guess what? We're screwed, man. That's all there is to it. If China, who does a vast majority of large power transformers, if they take, it doesn't matter if they take over Taiwan, if they get belligerent with us, we are screwed. That's all there is to it, man. And they can say, well, dude, we've imported to prosperity. It wasn't the imports that made us prosperous. It's the prosperity that came before the imports. I don't know how people don't understand this. It's crazy to me. Well, computer chips, as one of George H.W. Bush's guys says, economic advisor, computer chips are silicon chips. What does it matter? What matters, because if we don't have good standing with an economic machine, people, you can give our dollars all day long. People will say, we don't care. I mean, look at that. Just look at Zimbabwe. I don't even care if you look what country. Look at Argentina. You can say, hey, Argentina, we'll take your dollars for whatever exports. Argentina says that's great. But you're saying, but Argentina dollars aren't worth crap. They're not worth crap relative to what they're importing. So they have to have something of value. If someone's going to import large power transformers to the United States, there has to have something in trade of value to that country. Right now, it's the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar is backed on. Thankfully, we have a huge energy sector, which we still export and people rely on. Even Germany now has a trade deficit because they are importing like crazy energy because they don't produce energy. It's insanity on steroids. So thankfully, we do have we do export a lot of energy. That's based on our saving grace. Unfortunately, Sniffy Joe and his band of freaking climate change doomsayers wanted to get rid of that by making it all solar. Oh, by the way, guess who imports solar panels? Oh, everyone's like, the price of solar per watt is way low because we get it all from China at subsidized cost. China subsidized the industry. I don't know why that's not considered dumping. Our solar manufacturing is quite low because China is taking over the industry. The only real country we got is Tesla. They got, what, 80,000 companies, 80,000 employees, and somehow I saw Tim Walsh today say, look at Tesla stock, we want to go to the gutter. As 80,000 Americans actually work there and are exporting Tesla manufacturing vehicles. And the whole thing's insane. So anyway, the prosperity came based on the back of American labor, the baby boomers who everyone hates. And now we don't do it. We import everything. Thankfully, we have raw materials and things of that nature. Thankfully, we still have this. And thankfully, we still have the capacity and the ingenuity to get access to this. That can't last forever if we say we're not going to, literally, if we don't have this as a good to provide for people who are going to send their products to us, what do we trade? The American dollar is based on what at that stage? Nothing, because there is no economic machinery to prop it up. Oh, the military. The military is based on the strength of the American dollar. If the American economy doesn't get its act together and China gets belligerent, we are in a world of flipping hurt, dude. That will cause a collapse like you can't even think about. Now, I'm not saying a collapse like go to dark ages necessarily. We will capitulate to what China wants. Absolutely. A great book on this, by the way, if you really like fiction writing, is The Promise of Joy. But this was the commie, the Ruskies, not the commie Chinese. Promise of Joy by Alan Drury. It's fantastic. He talked almost identical to this, how basically America capitulated. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, they didn't have any way to say no, because we needed what the Ruskies were doing. We had no capacity to fight back at all. And the same thing's going to happen here if we don't get our heads together. And that will cause a collapse like none of us will see. Because the prosperity came before the imports. The imports didn't lead to prosperity. Prosperity led to us being able to import. And this can't happen for another 2 generations. It just won't. Because there won't be any economic machine to back up the dollar or the military. And if there isn't any economic machine to back this up, then what are we going to do to get these things we need? What are we going to trade for? What are they going to give in trade? It's going to be our freaking land. It's going to be our sovereignty, and that's the death right there. And economists can't see this. It's like imports are always good. It's freaking nuts. All right, God bless. We'll see you.